Hi, this is the lesson key to set 88. We're going to start with the practice A and B. You can see I have my box over to the left, my ratio box. I'm going to go ahead and divide that into 3 columns. And then 3 rows. Remember, the box in the upper left is not going to be used. Kind of a space holder. In the first column, that would mean right here, is what to be the topics covered. So if I look at problem number A, it says a ratio of DVDs to CDs. That's my topics. So I go DVDs, CDs. Now the rest of the sentence should tell me the smaller group, and that is my second column. So 5 to 4 in the same order as the first 2 words. So 5, then 4. So this is my small group. My large group will be the next sentence. It says, how many DVDs were there? So they're giving me DVDs and I need to figure, if there were 60 CDs, how many DVDs were there? So they're giving me my CDs and I need to figure out my DVDs. So I got to put in the 60 for CDs and I'm looking for DVDs. So let me go ahead and work that over here. I got 5 over 4 equals something over 60. I'm dealing with 2 equivalent fractions. I can get from 4 to 60 by times and by 15. So that means I got to do the same thing on the top. 15 times 5, not quite sure what that is. So 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 1 plus 2 more is 7, so it's 75. Now for B, I'm going to use the same ratio box. Let me just go ahead and clear it off. I'm still going to have a small group, still going to have a large group, but my topics are going to change and my corresponding numbers are going to change. And my colors are going to change. Here we go. So at the softball game, the ratio of fans for the home team and fans for the away team are 5 to 3. So home and away fans, right in order how it reads in the sentence, home, then away. And then for the second part, it says 5 to 3. That's the second part of the first sentence, so it's my small group. 5, then 3. It says for the second, or the large group, if there are 30 fans for the home team, how many fans are there for the away team? So 30, and then away is what I don't know. This part of the box is what I'm interested in. So I have 5 over 3 equals 30 over something. To get from 5 to 30, I need to times by 6. So I need to times the bottom by the same thing. They're equivalent fractions you're dealing with. So 3 times 6 is 18. So my missing number is 18. Going on with the problems down below, I'm going to switch back to my red so it'll stand out a little better. I got problem number 3. They're trying to buy a new baseball glove that costs $50. He has $14 and he earns $3 per hour cleaning yards. How many hours must he work to get enough money? All right, let's see how much he still needs after he spends what he saved. So what you do is for number 3, I'm going to work this on the right, is you take 50, and subtract the 14 that he already has from it. So that ends up being 36. And now you need to go ahead and take the 36 and divide it by the $6 he makes each hour. That ends up being 6. So that means he's going to have to work 6 additional hours. So the answer there is 6 hours. For number 4, it says find the area. Well, you got to look for the right angle and take the 2 numbers for the lines that meet there. So that would be the 8 and the 16. Take 16 times 8. That would end up being 48. Carry the 4, 128, because 8 times 1 plus 4 is 12. Then divide. Whoa, that went all over the place, didn't it? Let me get back to the right spot. That was so weird, wasn't it? And that popped up. There. Now I'm going to take 128 and divide it by 2. That ends up being 64, and my unit is millimeters squared. Got it from right there, and it's squared because it's area. Going on, number 7, I'm going to work that one over to the left. I have 10W equals 25. I need to do the opposite of what it says. 10 is being times the W, so I need to do the opposite and divide by 10. When I do that, I do it to each side of the equal sign, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. 10s cancel out over here, I get W. I end up with 25 over 10, which reduces to 5 over 2 because both the top and the bottom are divisible by 5. And I can leave it that way. Perfectly fine. If you chose to write as a decimal, that's fine too. If you also chose to write as a mixed number, that's also okay. Going on to number 9, it says, what's the perimeter of this triangle? That means I have to take out all the sides and add them up. So 10 plus 8 would be 18, plus another 6 would be 24. So that's 24 inches. Then as far as the next part, it says, what's the area? That's your right angle. So I'm going to take the two sides or the lines that meet there. So that would be the 8 and the 6. Multiply them up, that's 48. And then I need to divide that by 2 because otherwise I have the area of the rectangle that extends into. So it ends up being 24 inches squared. Going on, number 14, I have 6 divided by this, which I need to write as an improper fraction. 2 times 1 would be 2, and then I have to add the value on the top, that would be 3. So I have 6 divided by 3 over 2. I can't divide by a fraction. I have to flip it and change it to multiplication. So I have 6 times 2 over 3. Remember, 6 is the same as 6 over 1. Sometimes that's easier to see. 6 times 2 is 12. Divide that by the 3 on the bottom, you end up with 4. Number 16, I have 0.025 times 100. 100 is one of those nice numbers where you just have to move the decimal. That works for 10, 100, 1,000, that type of pattern. You count your zeros and you move your decimal that many spaces. I'm moving it to the right because I'm multiplying. If I were dividing, I'd move it to the left. So my answer is 2.5. Number 15, I skipped by accident, so let me go back and get that. It'd be 0.25 on the outside because what you're dividing by is always on the outside, and 12 on the inside. And let me mark up here what number this is, number 15. You can't divide by a decimal, so you have to get rid of it. So what I do is I move it over twice to get rid of it. Or in other words, I'm times it by 100. Then I got to do the same thing on the inside, or times that by 100. And I end up with 25 into 1,200. 25 doesn't go into 12, but it does certainly go into 100. It would go in 4 times, giving you 100 with 20 left. Then you bring down the next zero, so that's going to be 25 into 200, which is twice as much, so that's 48. So my answer for number 15 is 48. Number 17 is one of those problems that has to do with money. Very common situation in real life. I had the tax rate is 7%. Around here, it's oftentimes 8%. And it says, what is the tax on a $24.90 purchase? So what I do is I take $24.90 and I times it by the 7%, but I need to change it to a decimal first. That means you got to move it over twice to the left. The decimal is actually already there behind the 7 or located to the right of 7. I need to move it 2 spaces to the left. And I end up with 0.07. Then I have to multiply through. 7 times 0 from up here would be 0. 7 times 6 is 63. Carry the 6. 7 times 4 is 28. 6 more would make 34. 7 times 2 is 14. 2 more would be 17. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers located behind the decimal. I go all the way to the right of my answer and move it 4 spaces to the left for that reason, the decimal I mean. I end up with 1.743, and it's money, so we definitely don't need that last spot. So it ends up, once I round, to $1.74 for tax. Now, that does make sense because my percentage is less than 10%, and 10% of $24.90 is $2.49. So it's in the ballpark. Going on, Number 22, I have 6 times 3, and then I'm supposed to subtract from that 6 divided by 3. So I need to know what's in the boxes first. 6 times 3 is 18, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it's actually 18 minus 2, which is 16. Going on, number 28, it says in the figure at the right, angles ADB. Now I got to mark what that is. A, D, and B. So that means right there. And angles BDC. Let me mark that one. BDC. Probably going to say they're supplementary. Yes, I do. So what is the measure of angle ABD? That would be this one right here. Supplementary means they have to be 180. So you take 180 and subtract the 45 from it, that you know the other angle is, and that ends up being 135 degrees. Then it says, what is the ratio of the measure of angle BDC, which is the blue one on the right, so that's 45. Ratio means to write it in a fraction form, to ADB, which we just figured out, which is 135. Watch out, we can reduce that. So 5 goes into both of those, and maybe other numbers too. But 45 divided by 5 would be 9, and then 135 divided by 5. Let me go over to the side and do that a little careful because I don't have that memorized. 5 into 13 would go twice, giving me 10. That gives me 35. 5 into that would be 27. Ooh, I can do another reduce. 9 goes into 27. So 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 27 divided by 9 is 3. So it's 1/3. Number 29, Nathan drew a circle with a radius of 10 centimeters, and he drew a square. What is the area of the square? Well, the square is 20 on the sides, or in other words, it's the same as the diameter, isn't it? So 20 times 20 would be 2 times 2, which is 4, and then 2 zeros, so that's 400 centimeters squared. And in the area of the circle, you need to take the radius and square it, and then times it by pi. The radius is 10, so I'm going to square that, which is 100, and then pi is 3.14, they say right there. Now, this is one of those nice numbers. Well, all you got to do is count how many zeros you have and move your decimal that many spaces. I'm going to the right because I'm multiplying. So it ends up being 314, and my unit is centimeters squared. All done.